to San Mateo County Today. Conversations with government leaders throughout San Mateo County. Here's your host, Linda Morrisey.
Welcome to San Mateo County Today. My guests today are Juan Raigoza, the current Assistant County Controller and Controller-elect, and Mayor Mark Olbert, the Mayor of San Carlos. We're going to start by talking with Assistant Controller Juan Raigoza. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me here.
It's very nice to have you. And first of all, congratulations on the election.
Thank you.
Okay, let's jump right in. So money is always the big topic, right? And
course.
You're the numbers guy. I'd like to start by having you share with our viewers the duties and responsibilities of the County Controller.
Sure. The County Controller is essentially the Chief Financial Officer for the county. We're responsible for maintaining the county's books. We also produce the audited financial reports that tell the citizens of the county the financial condition of the county. We process payroll for 6,000 employees of the county, the courts, and several special districts. We also have an internal audit division that audits county operations to improve financial and operational results and to make sure that we have proper internal controls, proper checks and balances. And lastly, we also distribute property taxes to the school districts, special districts, the cities, and the county.
Okay. How many people are in the Controller's office?
Our current staff is 42 full-time employees.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So what is the operating budget for the County of San Mateo, and what's the process that you go through to develop and get a budget approved?
Sure. The county's current operating budget, which began July 1st, is $2.1 billion. The county departments work with the county manager to develop the budget. It's the county manager's responsibility to actually prepare the budget, and it's presented to the board, who reviews and approves the budget. From the Controller's Office perspective, we're responsible for ensuring that funds are spent as appropriated by the Board of Supervisors. Now, during the budget review and approval process, the county manager and departments present the budget to the Board of Supervisors in the public meeting, where citizens, have the opportunity to ask questions and provide input regarding the budget.
Okay. Okay. Is that process usually, how long does it take?
It usually goes over several months and several board meetings. So,
right. So you're probably already, so you go July to July. So we're just in our current, 2014? Correct.
We have, the board has approved the recommended budget, but it will officially adopt the budget in September.
Okay, got it. Okay. So what are the major sources of revenue for all the services that are being provided by the county? So where is all that money coming from? That's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a question that a lot of people ask. Well, the major sources of revenue for the county are intergovernmental revenues, property taxes, charges for services, and sales taxes.
Okay. Intergovernmental revenues, can you describe them?
Those are essentially federal and state monies.
Okay.
And that represents about $550 million a year, about 25% of the budget. And property taxes is a little bit over $400 million, about 20% of the budget. Charges for services represents about $350 million. And sales taxes, as a result of Measure A, now account for about $100 million. So
what percent would that be about Measure A?
Well, at a 2.1, it's about 5% sales taxes.
It's interesting because so many of the programs that we have, we talk with people that are managing programs and services that are being impacted by Measure A or being funded by Measure A, and so it's really interesting to know what actual percentage of the budget Measure A is
yeah, it's a decent amount.
Yeah.
I'd say out of the total expenditures of the county, 40% are spent on health services, health-related services.
40%?
40%
Wow.
of the county budget. 30% on safety, public safety. 17% on social or public assistant type of services.
Right.
And the remaining, 13% or is on roads, the airport, parks, and administration costs.
I see. Okay. So what are the major projects that the county is working on? Now, I hear a lot about the projects by interviewing other people on this program, so we know a lot of the things that are going on in the county. But from the Controller's Office perspective, what are the kind of the big ticket items that you're really keeping your eye on in terms of the budget?
Well, by far the biggest county project right now that's underway is the construction of the new jail, which is set to open I believe, the middle of next year. Recently, the county went and sold some lease revenue bonds for a little bit over $200 million. Due to the county's AAA bond rating, we were able to get a really good rate. I believe it's somewhere around 3%.
Wow.
So, I mean, I think the AAA bond rating that the county has and the low rate that we were able to get on these lease revenue bonds, it's an indicator of the financial condition, the strength of the county. In addition to that, the Controller's Office is currently working with the Human Resource Department and the Information Services Department to replace our old payroll HR system, which was implemented back in the early 1990s. Ooh. So it's overdue. We're also working with the Tax Collector's Office and the Assessor's Office to replace our property tax system. And our property tax system basically accounts for all properties, the assessed value of each property. It's used to send out the tax bills, to record collections of property taxes. And then ultimately, those taxes are allocated and distributed to the schools, the cities, special districts, and the county.
So what will change in that system? What are you upgrading?
All of this is, both systems are antiquated, and the property tax system is pretty much a hodgepodge of two or three different systems. So we want to get a system that's more efficient, provides better information, better reporting, and easier to manage both of those functions.
Okay, got it. So as a resident of the county, I assume I can go on the website and find out information about our budget and financial reports. But I'm not a numbers person. So if I go on the website, where do I look and how do I interpret some of what I'm seeing?
Sure.
Talk slow now.
Yeah, of course. Our website has all kinds of information. It contains our annual budget, financial reports. You could actually, if you go onto the Board of Supervisors page, you can have access to the agenda, the minutes, and video recordings of the actual public board meetings. So there's a lot of good information available on our website. By the way, the website is www.smcgov.org. In addition to that, we also have an open data portal, which contains all kinds of information and statistics about the county's operations. In particular, the Controller's Office has an open checkbook database, which contains information about all checks issued by the county in excess of $5,000. So, and of course, we also have our financial reports, which is the CAFR, Comprehensive Audited Financial Report, and the PAFR, the Popular Audited Financial Reports, which is a Reader's Digest version of the CAFR. It's meant for non-accountants, non-financial type of people. It's a little bit, it's much easier to understand and comprehend, and it gives the readers a good understanding of where the county gets its money from and how it spends it. And last year we added more charts and more information for multiple years, so you can actually see a trend. Okay. And you can see whether things are getting better or not.
Okay. And I know transparency is important in terms of the residents, right?
Yes, obviously. Yeah, and that's part of the open data portal that the county wants to supply as much information to the public so that they can be better informed as to what the county is doing with their money and how it's spending it.
Great. So tell us a little bit about, I think you said you spent 13 years in the Controller's Office before this new election. Tell us about that experience.
Well, it was quite an interesting experience. It's been 4 months since I decided to jump into the race, and it was a quick lesson in politics and running for office. Got a chance to meet a lot of very interesting people who care a lot about the community. So that was the best part of campaigning, for sure. And of course, I'm glad with the results, and I want to thank the voters for putting their faith in me and making sure that our county continues to run as it has in the past.
That's great. Anything else you'd like to share about the Controller's Office before we wrap up?
Well, just would like to thank all the staff in my office for the great work that they do year in and year out to make sure that we protect the taxpayers' dollars, and that's our main goal.
Okay. Well, we'd love to have you back at some point in the future. Maybe we could dig into some of these topics in a little greater depth. But for now, I'll just say thanks very much, and congratulations again on the election. And you take office in January, is that correct?
Correct, in January.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take a short break. And when we return, we'll be talking with Mark Olbert, the mayor of San Carlos. Welcome back. We're joined now by Mayor Mark Olbert, Mayor of City of San Carlos. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for letting me share some time with your guests and
Absolutely.
your viewers.
Thank you. There's a lot going on in San Carlos.
Yes.
So what I thought we'd do, since we have a limited amount of time, is talk about several different programs, projects that are going on in the city, and then at the end, let's talk about their collective impact on the community.
That sounds like a good idea.
Okay, so let's start with the Palo Alto Medical Foundation. We've been watching the construction for a few years now. It appears to be on track for completion. I think the sign says sometime in 2014. So can you tell us about how that's going? And I understand that there might be a phase 2 to the project.
That's right. The project as initially conceived was both the clinic, which is what they're building now,
Right.
and later on they were going to build, when the conditions were right, a hospital. Actually adjacent to the clinic.
Meaning the conditions are right, meaning?
I think most of it had to do with their internal financials of their foundation, and to some extent the market demand.
Got it.
You know, as it was growing. Okay. So right now what they're finishing up is the clinic, and we're really excited about that. You know, it's nice to see something there other than a vacant lot. And you know, whether the hospital comes in down the road or not, you know, that would be nice from a bunch of different perspectives. But you know, we'll have to wait and see on that.
Mm-hmm. When do you think we'll know?
You know, what they've told us every time we've asked is that they, at current, still don't have plans to do it. So I would imagine, you know, there will be at least several years advance warning before they actually do that, because they'd have to, it sounds like they haven't even designed it or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
So.
And would it be in the same general area?
Yeah, my understanding is it would be essentially right next door to it.
Okay.
In fact, I believe the design of the clinic is such that there's a shared wall that currently looks like an exterior wall that if they build a hospital, they will tear it out from inside, basically, to connect the two facilities.
Got it. So they're looking forward.
Yes,
great,
they are.
Great. Okay, the next thing I'd like to, the next project I'd like to talk about is the Landmark Hotel. So I don't know a lot about the Landmark Hotel. I understand that there were 3 sites that were being considered, but it was going to be narrowed down to 1. I don't know if that's happened yet. Can you tell us just about the planning stages for that? Where are we with the Landmark Hotel?
Sure. Well, you know, from one perspective, if we were going to talk about the planning stage for the Landmark Hotel, it would probably take about 4 hours, because it goes back almost 20 years.
Wow.
The city has been working for a long time to try and get something like a hotel that's planned there now in that location, and it's a matter of economic conditions being right, general plans being put together properly, and zoning rules being adjusted and whatnot, and most important of all, the property coming available. And that's really what happened last fall. There are 3 parcels that the city actually ended up purchasing. And the reason the city purchased it is because the owners of those properties realized that there was more value in selling them as a unit, but their timetable was such that they really wanted to sell fairly quickly.
3 separate owners?
Yes. There's at least more than one. I don't want to say that there's three lots, and there may be one owner who owns 2. I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
So what ended up happening is they wanted to sell quickly. This is right smack dab in the middle of where the city had always hoped that a hotel would be built. And so what the council opted to do last fall is we committed to buy those 3 parcels, and then pursue the process of getting a hotel developer to come in with the intent of us turning around and selling the properties to the hotel developer.
Got it.
And we just ended up a few weeks ago selecting R.D. Olson as the hotel developer for the site, and we're very excited about that. They're a very reputable firm, mostly based until recently in Southern California. A lot of activity in Southern California. They've been expanding into the Bay Area, and so it was a nice opportunity of meshing, you know, their interest in wanting to have a bigger presence up here and our interest in trying to see the hotel move ahead. It'll end up being the current plan is a Marriott Residence Inn.
Okay.
So it'll be a nice addition to the inventory of hotel alternatives that exist in San Carlos, a little bit higher end than some of the ones we have, and for extended stay. And as you might imagine, in the peninsula, with the tremendous growth of the high-tech industry and the biotech industry, there's just a scorching demand for that kind of hotel.
We're right in the middle of it.
And we are literally right in the middle of it. And on top of that, there'll be some nice amenities for the community as well that'll come out of it. There's a large meeting room, basically, that the hotel wants as part of its own operation, but it'll be a nice addition as well to the facilities in town.
Okay. And for the viewers that might not know, the location is?
It's just south of Holly and Industrial, sort of fronting along the 101.
Okay.
It's not immediately adjacent to the intersection. There's an electrical parts supply house that's there. It's just a little bit further south than that.
Got it.
And on the east side of Industrial.
Okay, got it. Thank you. The Transit Village.
Yes.
This is also one that I think has been sort of on the books for several years now.
A long time.
And I know that there have been concerns about building height as well as other concerns, I believe. Just tell us where we are with that. Where are we in that planning process? Because it seems like it would be a very good thing for the community, but it seems like to not be moving forward quickly,
I can understand why people would feel that way because it really wasn't moving forward for quite a while. Just to give your viewers a little bit of history here about why. It was not for lack of interest. Basically, most but not all of the key properties that are going to be amalgamated together to form the Wheeler Plaza project were purchased by the old San Carlos Redevelopment Agency, which was an entity that had existed for many years and was involved in a lot of land transactions. Several years ago, the state legislature eliminated redevelopment agencies.
Right.
And all the properties that were held by any redevelopment agency essentially got their ownership, if you will, got transferred to an oversight board composed of representatives from the major public agencies that would benefit from the property taxes generated off the property in the area. Bottom line is management by committee. I've worked on committees for a long time, essentially on the school board and the city council. They're a very effective means of doing things, but they can be slow, and because you have to work through multiple people and agencies. On top of that, the State Department of Finance, in order to make sure that no shenanigans went on, imposed some fairly strict process controls on disposing of assets that were owned by redevelopment agencies. And on top of that, they were also literally on the fly sort of inventing the rules that they were going to apply. Okay. So all that adds up to quite a bit of delay. We finally got all the ducks aligned locally and up in Sacramento just recently, and so now the project is moving forward again.
Okay.
And we're really excited about that one too. It'll add a good number of Class A retail space stores along San Carlos Avenue, okay. which we don't have a lot of. Right. It'll also add, I don't remember the exact number, but I think it's something around about 100, maybe a little less, condominiums. And from the public's point of view, we are going to gain about 50 some odd parking spaces. So we will have all of the parking spaces that we currently have in the Wheeler lot, which is, of course, very heavily used at times, plus 50 more. Okay. And it'll be a combination of underground and first floor parking, basically. Okay. But that'll be a nice addition to the community as well.
Okay. How can you gain parking spots if you're also gaining, the businesses? What's the net?
Yeah, good question. The businesses basically are built along San Carlos Avenue. The condominiums are built behind that along Walnut.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And the parking spaces are underground, and it's either the first floor or maybe the first 2 floors. I think it actually may be just the first floor. Mm-hmm. And obviously we have to provide parking for the additional retail space and for the condominium owners. Mm-hmm. But the net effect of all of it is that there will be a net gain for the community.
Okay. What about affordable housing? Will any of it be?
There is the specific units that are being built there. I don't believe any of them are currently slated to be affordable housing units, affordable units. But the developer will, as part of complying with our affordable housing ordinance, I think the amount is they'll be paying approximately $3 million into our affordable housing fund.
Okay.
Which has been accumulating money for a number of years, and we are in fact looking actively for some places where we could invest to create some more affordable housing.
That's good news. That's really good to hear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, although it's always really striking to me about how affordable housing actually can be fairly expensive. Just because the overall cost level of San Mateo County is so high. So.
Expensive to the city, you mean?
No,
or
actually,
to the actual residents?
A lot of it is based on families qualifying for income. And I believe, if I remember correctly, the uppermost tier of what's still considered affordable housing is a family of 4 earning, I think it's up to like $115,000 a year, which, when I started out, that was an awful lot of money.
Yeah.
So it's part of the price of living in such a desirable part of the world.
Right. Wheeler Plaza, you mentioned it briefly, and I know there's not a lot going on there as well. Is that some of the same reasons you were talking about? Or I guess I haven't heard a lot lately about Wheeler Plaza, and I'd love to see, just kind of paint a picture of the vision for that area as well.
I apologize. I may have answered your earlier question completely wrong. You were asking about the transit village?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. So, boy, this is very embarrassing. Everything I just told you is about Wheeler Plaza.
Okay.
Okay. So let me answer the transit village question that I should have. Sorry about that. That's what happens when you get too excited and over-prepare. The transit village was approved by the council last fall. To be, and that's the project that is going to be built on the, both on the parking lot, the existing parking lot by the Caltrain station, and the vacant land north of Holly Street between the railroad berm and the El Camino Real, just so I make sure I don't make the same mistake again.
This is making a lot more sense now.
Right. I was wondering why you look kind of quizzical, and I'm like, gee, what am I doing wrong? Now I know. That project was approved last fall, and it was a very contentious, difficult process to work through. At the end of the day, what the council approved was building heights for the residential components, which are apartment buildings, of no more than 3 stories. Okay, and there are some commercial and some retail buildings as well, and they will not be more than 2 stories tall. Okay, that caused a fairly significant redesign on the part of the developer, because they had to go back to their pencils and make sure the numbers worked out, because it was smaller than what they had hoped to get approved. At the end of the day, my understanding is that they came up with a design that works for them financially. I've heard that as of about a month ago, I think it was, the Caltrain or Joint Powers Oversight Board, the railroad Samtrans combination that owns the property, the land that it would be built on, has given a go-ahead as well. And so that project should be moving forward as well. It's currently designed to be something around 200, 210 units, and those are apartments, not condos. Those are apartments. There will be also an affordable housing component to that as well. Whether or not that'll be in kind, meaning the developer is setting aside some of the units that are being built, or whether they will be paying an in lieu fee, cash instead,
Got it.
Remains to be determined.
Okay, got it. Okay.
So sorry about that.
No, it was a quiz. It was a quiz for our viewers, wasn't it? Yeah. So thinking about those 4 things that projects that we've just talked about.
Right.
Obviously, progress is a good thing, and this is going to dovetail nicely with how San Carlos is really becoming such a thriving community, and all these great restaurants, and this is really a nice vision for the future. But of course, with progress comes challenges. So what do you see as some of the challenges of all this development?
What I would do is break those into 2 categories first. There's short-term and there's longer-term. All of this construction that we're talking about, if in fact it stays to schedule, which, being in the process of building a new house myself, I know that construction projects don't always stay on schedule. But that's all going to happen between now, when PAMF is the clinic is being finished, and about 2017.
Okay.
So it's a fairly narrow window.
That is.
Since we're in 2014.
Yes.
And that's a lot of construction along, loosely kind of one of the main corridors in town, right? There's an awful lot of traffic that flows back and forth between the 101 Holly Street on that leg of El Camino and then up San Carlos Avenue. So in the short term, that's probably my biggest concern, is how are we going to manage the traffic. How are we also going to manage, related to that, is the parking issue at Wheeler. Now there are plans to put in place a valet parking program, because once that parking lot gets torn up, we don't want to discommode everybody by basically not having them have a way to park their cars. But that's actually going to be a little less convenient for folks. It's not a matter of just walking onto the lot and jumping in your car. A little bit longer term, the concerns that I have, or the issues that we're going to have to address, are still also related to traffic, primarily along that corridor in Holly Street. Anybody who's driven that virtually any time of the day, except during the summer, sort of vacation season, knows that it gets very busy at times, and gets backed up quite a ways. And the council is in the process of taking the first steps to try and address some of that. Exactly how we're going to do that is going to be another fairly big issue that we're going to have to work through. Hopefully we can do it. Well, I shouldn't say hopefully we can do it. My expectation is that we will do it in a stepwise process, sort of try something, see how it works, try something if that doesn't, if we need more capacity. Because we are dealing with the unfortunate and somewhat unusual in San Mateo County experience combination of residential homes bracketing what is an arterial street. It'd almost be like having single-family homes in El Camino Real, which, as far as I know, I don't think that exists anywhere, certainly in San Carlos. So longer term, that's an issue. Related to that too, an awful lot of this development is impacting, or differentially impacting, the east side neighborhoods, the residential neighborhoods, and the commercial aspects of those neighborhoods as well. And that's going to have to get addressed too. When I campaigned back in 2011, I talked a lot about how we really are one community, and I always like to try and make decisions from a community-wide perspective. But you also have to recognize that some portions of the community get differentially affected, greater than others. And part of our job is to figure out how to mitigate that.
Well, sounds like lots of opportunities for you to come back and share with us the updates. There's a lot going on.
Yes, I think so.
Okay, we're out of time, unfortunately, but thank you so much.
You're quite welcome, and sorry about that mix-up again.
No, it worked out very well. Thanks for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you next time on San Mateo County Today.